The only clue I'll give you for tomorrow is that Enron, if you remember, had a fake trading room. They were touring people around the Enron campus. I don't remember if it was an auditor or whatever, to talk about the trading operation. They actually set up workstations and had people sitting there looking like they were trading. Do you remember that? It's hard to remember.
Yes.
Okay, that's my biggest clue for tomorrow.
Okay, that was Bill's biggest clue, yet Bill is saying now his presentation was overhyped. Let me let me say, wasn't it Bill overhyping it?
Yeah, I mean, he's basically saying, my bad. I'm the one who overhyped it. I was trying to bring people to the webcast, trying to make sure they showed up. They got there looking for a body, as Ackman says, looking for a smoking gun, and it wasn't there. Instead, they got a 3-hour, wonky regulatory sort of presentation that investors just clearly decided was not what they were promised the day before.
But he was successful in the fact that he got 11,000 eyeballs watching this presentation, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He got 11,000 people that watched it. He also has gotten, some 40,000 different looks at the presentation online since then. 143 countries are represented. I mean, countries as far as Nepal. One person logged on there. So, in talking to him, he seems proud of the fact that he was able to bring a large audience, but perhaps regretful that he, overspoke it beforehand.
But look, it's the law of the jungle in television, just as it is in webcasts. If you bring a large audience to a show, and that's what this was, that amounts to a whole lot of nothing, they're not coming back next time. Does that mean that we won't have to witness and suffer through any more 3-hour wonky regulatory presentations?
Well, I'll say this. He seems no less committed to the ideas that they raised at that conference. He believes that nutrition clubs are a signal that people are there for the business opportunity, not for the actual products. So he's going to continue that case very clearly.
So in other words, he feels like the substance is as solid as ever. It's just the style part that he got wrong.
That's exactly right. As he called it, it was a PR disaster, PR mistake, and he lays it on his own shoulders. I mean, I asked him, well, you've got a lot of people working for you on the PR side. Did you ask their advice? And he said, look, I'm my own worst enemy.
Then who is his banker? One would think in this scenario, maybe not his publicist, but who's his banker, his advisor, his consigliere who would advise him in these types of things? Because it does seem like the cheese is standing alone.
I mean, he's got a number of shops, including Rubenstein, that's working for him. But, all indications are from him. And, I spoke to Christine Richard as well. And she said, look, Bill does it his own way. So there's a real feeling here that Bill sort of, as we know, he sort of marches to his own drumbeat.
Which is why he's so successful.
And, he's very vocal about his case. And in a lot of ways, you could probably find issues with sort of how he's gone about it PR-wise, but he seems to not at all be backing away from that, other than to say that the message at that presentation last week was lost because of what he promised before.
Duane, you mentioned Christine Richard. She's a former colleague of ours here at Bloomberg. She became an independent researcher, and Bill himself says that she's the person who put him up to the idea of the Herbalife short in the first place. You quote her in your story as saying that the combination of the overhyping of the presentation and the length buried some of the material. And that's pretty similar to what you got from Bill himself. Isn't it significant, though, that somebody who is advising Bill and presumably is on his payroll is criticizing him in this way?
Yeah, she seems to be, what she's doing, and I spoke with her first, actually, and then that led to, wanting to get more from Ackman. What she's basically saying is that it's a shame that this great research, that this case that they laid out was completely lost because of the hype, because of the stock, share price going up during the presentation. But she is the person who originally gave, hold on.
She is the person who originally gave Bill this idea. So let's just put into context who's saying it's a shame that this great research was overlooked.
She is. So she's saying, but look, we presented this case. No one is really pressing. She took issue with analysts and investors who, for instance, on the conference call for Herbalife's earnings this week, didn't, ask a lot of probing questions about some of that material. So she's taken it as they've largely ignored what is, in their view, a very important question. So they're trying to get the word out. Look, we stand by this research. She put out a release 2 days ago, and now they're saying, don't let the fact that we messed up on the PR side overshadow the fact that there's some real interesting questions here that we laid out.